Hello everyone, welcome to another Kotlin programming tutorial. In this video, we will talk about conditionals. Kotlin features several mechanisms for implementing conditional logic. The most common of these is an if-else statement. If followed by an expression, if it becomes true, the statements written in between these code blocks gets executed. Otherwise, we can also associate an else block so that this else block will get executed when the condition given in this particular if block is failed. Suppose, let us take a variable and assign a value to it. So if the value of a is equal to 20, then condition is true. So if this condition is not true, I'm gonna print condition is false. So when this condition is true, then the statements that are present in this if block gets executed and the statements present in the else block will not be executed. If this condition is false, these statements that are written in between the if condition does not get executed while the else block statement gets executed. The output would be condition is true as the value of a is equal to 20. If the value is not equal to 20, then the statements that are present in the else block gets executed. Now the output would be condition is false. We can write a set of statements between the code blocks. It is not mandatory that we have to have only one line of code inside the block. We can have multiple lines. Also, Kotlin offers us to associate the else blocks with another if statement so that we can check on another condition if the first condition is a fail. I would like to check if a equals to 10, and in the else block I will write the second condition is true. Now if I run the program, I will get second condition is true as my output. We can build a ladder of if else statements in the following way. I can associate an else block to the if condition that is recently written, and all this else block I will write. Now if I change the value of a to something like 8, the output would be first and second conditions failed because a is neither equal to 20 nor 10. Now instead of printing the lines, instead of writing println statement on multiple places, we can actually reduce this in Kotlin. We can take a value of a string, the message is equal to, instead of printing it, what I can do is I can just associate the condition is true string to the message variable. Finally, the message will be printed at the end of the line so that we can avoid so many println statements right here, and the code is very much cleaner than the previous one. If I run this program, I'll get the same output. If the complexity of this increases, we can replace if else with a when statement. So how do we use when? Let's create a variable called a and let's read the input from the user. For that, I will be using a scanner class. So java.util.scanner. After importing this, as we already know that we have to create an object for scanner. Now val a, let us prompt the user before enter a number. So when the user enters a value, we will read it with the help of the scanner object. So sc.nextInt will give us an integer that is entered by the user on the command line. Now if the user enters 1, we will print 1 is entered. If the user enters 2, we will print 2 is entered, and so on. In order to do that, we can use a when statement. So when follows this syntax. After when, you are supposed to give the condition. So the condition is based on a. So all the conditions that are going to be written inside this when are based on the value of a. So if the value of a is 1, we will print a message. The condition, if the value is 3, we will write 3 is selected. If it is 4, we will write 4 is selected. If the user enters a value other than the values that are in between 1 and 5, we will execute the else block here. Wrong choice. As we only have one line to be printed, we are using it directly. If you have multiple lines to be executed for a particular condition, you can wrap them in the code blocks like this. If I execute this program and enter a value, let us say 6, eventually my else block will be executed. That gives me wrong choice. If I rerun the program and enter 4, I get 4 is selected. So in the same way, instead of writing so many println statements inside a when, we can associate the resultant of when to a variable. So value message would be equal to, if 1 is selected, I'll give 1 is selected as the value of message. In the same way, if 2 is selected, I'll give 2 is selected as the value of the message. And finally, after executing this when, I can go ahead with one println statement that prints the message. Now if I run this program, the same output is expected. If I enter 2, 2 is selected. If I enter 6, which is not in the range of 1 and 5, I get wrong choice. So when is a great choice to reduce the complexity in reading the code? So instead of using if-else blocks, if the complexity is high, we can go for a when statement. If I want to club all these options 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, if any of them is selected, I can return a single statement, $A is selected. So this example is only given to let you understand that we can also club multiple conditions to a single value or to a single block. So not alone the integers, we can also use character literals, character variables, and we can also use string variables. So let's read next, and instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if the name is Pawan, I get Pawan is selected. Otherwise, in all other cases, I'll get wrong choice. So if I run the program, so only if Pawan is entered, I get Pawan is selected. In case, if any other name is entered, you get wrong choice. So we may use strings instead of integers here. That's all for this video.